Justin Barsha, as soon as I describe how bad all the steel frame bikes are, what does he do? Justin goes out and wins. But that wasn't the bike. That was just pure grit. Justin Barsha being an absolute savage on that bike. He rode the wheels off of it. What'd you think, Coach?
Just epic. It brings back, almost back to the CRF 150 days with Barsha, where he was fearless, rode the wheels off the bike. I know I mentioned this in our last show together. I firmly believe Will Hahn has a big, significant role in this. It's almost like you see a new disposition of Barsha. You know what I mean? Barsha, he's been trying so long to get Will over there. It just seems like in the last 2 weeks, we're seeing that Barsha of old. Then you add, he's got, some athletic maturity underneath his belt. I could sit and watch that. I wish we had 6 motos of Barsha doing that, whether it was the big whips or just, completely sending it on those downhills. He looked fantastic. Enjoyed it.
Okay. I have a question for you. So
yeah,
Will's over there and he's the new trainer, right?
Yep.
Is that his trainer, riding coach? Is he going to the races? I don't understand how you could have that much of an effect in 2 weeks. But I mean, you can't argue. I mean, look at all those guys, Bozeman in the 250, him in the 450. Like, is it just that? I don't know. I'm struggling to give Will all the credit, but it sure looks good.
Yeah, I don't want to give him all the credit. I just know that Barsha has been all but begging for Will to come over there. And, for obvious reasons, Will was committed to Star and all of that. But it's incredibly ironic timing. And like you and I teased about last week with Hopper, okay, you can correlation, causation. Okay, we can give him the benefit of the doubt. Now 2 weekends back to back, Mosiman gets his first podium, race like an absolute boss. We'll get to Mosiman a little bit later, but you can't take it away from Mosiman. That downhill into that right-hander, just freaking sticking it in there. Barsha was riding the same way. I appreciate Barsha giving hey, sorry to Ferrandis. It wasn't really an intentional thing. It just shows a lot of maturity. I don't know, again, how much Will Hahn is driving that ship, but boy, there seems to be a complete momentum shift since he has gotten over there, literally in the last 2 weeks. And look at the difference between you making fun of it and then Will going, and then Barsha has 2 good weekends. So, hey, they just want to make us look goofy. What can we say?
Well, have you ever seen when like a team fires the coach and everyone's like, well, it wasn't the coach's fault, but they always do better right off the bat, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes change just spurs something.
It's new, right?
It is. It's just new blood, new attitude, new something. Not even doing anything different. Sometimes it can just change. And that's probably, because I personally don't believe in 2 weeks you can implement a process to make them that much better, other than just bringing in kind of a little bit new attitude, which sometimes that attitude might be, maybe that's it.
Well, in the fact that Barsha's wanted Will Hahn for forever, they both have been very vocal about it, that, they've been asking.
That sounded so bad the way you said that, Coach.
Yeah. Well, but what I think is cool is it's almost like you and Hopper and I going to a races. You and I, we know each other well enough. We'd feel more comfortable going to the races. I'm not saying that Barsha wasn't comfortable at Gas. Troy Lee's a great guy. Tyler Keefe's, does a relatively good job from a team management standpoint. I don't even know Tyler. I'm just saying, based on what we've seen and what we've heard, I don't, like you say, I don't think Will brought anything magical. He didn't bring a magic wand, or he didn't bring magic potion. I think it was just kind of like Barsha's like, yes, I've got my dude here. And it's creating that environment of success. And you and I've talked a lot about that off the record. It's amazing how one person can make or break an environment. Think about when you had, just say it was you and your dad going racing, and all of a sudden, Uncle Billy shows up and he's just a blowhard. He's a screamer. He's an alcoholic, all that goes into it. You're like, Dad, can we leave Billy at home? Cause he's kind of taken away from the environment. I'm not saying there was that negative environment at Gas.
Did Gas leave Billy at home?
Well, I think they left Billy at home and they brought Will in. And because Barsha's been so vocal about wanting Will there, Will's so chill. For anybody that hasn't or doesn't know Will Hahn very well, if you want to really get to know him, go watch the Whiskey Throttle show for over 3 hours. Will Hahn he is probably the most transparent guy I've ever seen on Whiskey Throttle. He's not a bullshit artist. He talks about him and his brother. He talks about his brother being better. I just, the experience, and again, just kind of that level-headed side that Will brings to the table. It sure has worked out well these last 2 rounds for both 450, 250 for the Gas camp. And can you imagine how pissed off KTM is? Oh,
it got worse for them. And we'll get to that one. But
big momentum shift.
Yes. Before we get to KTM, I want to talk about Adam Cianciarulo. I think he's done for the year. And I think that this hand going numb on him is a bigger issue than people are making out. And we talked about it a few weeks ago, how it could be career ending, and everyone's like, oh, it's 95% success rate. Well, that was 95% last year when they did the surgery.
Yeah. Why didn't he come out for the second moto? I never heard.
I don't know. It looked to me like that was just it, because if your hand's going numb, that crash looked to be because of the hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. To me, I would guess he's probably calling it a season, going to go try and get that fixed. That just shows you how important it is. I don't see why he wouldn't come out if there's any other reason than that. And I checked and I couldn't find anything on it. So
yeah, I couldn't find anything either. That's why I was curious if maybe you heard something that I hadn't seen or heard, but I can't get a pulse on why he wouldn't show up for second moto.
Well, usually when something's serious like that and they're calling it a season, it takes a day or two to kind of talk to everyone at Kawasaki. Sure. You want to let them all know before they get a memo saying their rider's gone for the rest of the year. Are they bringing in Tickle? And then probably I look for an announcement maybe Tuesday.
Sure. Well, I mean, like you say, is it the end of the season? We won't know. The fact that he didn't show up for the second moto, especially when GL was talking about on the broadcast, he jumped into the pits there to try to get that throttle cable opened up, to get that housing cleaned out. It wasn't like he was, oh, this hurts or that hurts, but for him to not even start the second moto, that's a pretty big red flag for me that there's, like you say, end of season, we'll know in a couple of days here.
Well, I watched on his vlog, and it was funny, but it wasn't funny when he's going, "Oh Lord, please let me have feeling in my right hand today."
Man, God, would I love to be able to feel my throttle hand today, Lord. Please give it to me. Please let me be able to feel my throttle hand. Then I may, who knows? I may go out there and be fast the whole time.
Or not.
Yeah, or not. Sometimes it's like kind of funny though. I'm like, I can't believe I'm still out here. I can't feel the grip. Look at me go. And it's not like you're just shaking out. It's throttle side. It's not like I'm really, I can't go up in the air and be like shaking it out, right? You take your hand off the grip, just go engine brake, just. Good news is here, there's no jump.
Like he's joking, but he's serious. Like you have to feel your throttle hand. There's nothing else you can do.
No, it's
that's
he may joke about it. But that's AC, right?
Because that's what he does. He's going
to make light of it, which is great. But the idea that it's on the top of your head like that, to even joke about it in a vlog in that environment, tells you that it's pretty much at the forethought of the forethought. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Everybody knows I've got an affinity towards AC. If you ask me tomorrow who's going to win next weekend, I'll say AC, because that's just the way it goes. But no, I do agree with you. There's a big question mark as to why he wouldn't start the second moto. And then again, what a huge momentum shift as you see Tomac seeming to wanting to show up and go racing again. All of us are thankful. All of us love it. There's not a spectator out there, like him or not like him. When he's on, he adds such a dynamic to the mix. But to the point of AC, we'll see what happens by Wednesday.
Yeah, and I'm just hoping. I don't know if they have a specific nerve guy they can go to, but I really, really, really hope he gets it figured out. He's got the speed, he's got the endurance, he's got everything. He's just
got the starts.
His hand is failing him. That's it. That's literally the only thing missing.
Missing, right? In the sport of motocross, only thing missing, the ability to hold onto the bars. Oops. I know you're saying that lightly, but yeah, it's how sketchy would that be, getting a whole shot or second place and 40 guys behind you wanting to kill you, and then you just lose that front end. I just think it's interesting, like if they show that camera angle from behind when he comes into that sweeper right hand, and it didn't look like he did anything wrong. I mean, like when we looked at RJ Hampshire a couple of races ago, remember we were talking about that left-hander and he got out on that loose stuff and it just gobbled his front wheel up and just threw him to the ground. It just didn't look like that with AC. That sweeper right-hander. I know it was early in the moto. I know they were just going, hyper fast.
Watch his right hand. And I watched it a couple of times. I'm like, it's the right hand. That's why he hit the ground. And maybe he thought he had a throttle problem because he couldn't feel it.
How scary is that, right?
I mean,
on a factory 450.
Yeah, that's not good.